where at least two naked women in it talk to each other about something besides a man. Furthermore, I would like to address what's PG-18. It's the movies where that minors shouldn't watch without guardians. Also, I would like to take the restriction to the motion where we are promoting movies as all movies that promote sexual material. So what are movies with sexual material? Those movies are all of them that promote any kind of pornography or encourage pornography in any sort. Furthermore, I would like to address 3 points that government will in today's debate promote. The first argument is health growth of children. The second point is portraying women as needy, pathetic, and dependent on men. And the third argument is parents/guardians are the best educators for their children. I would like now to explain you, no thank you, I would like to now explain you the first argument of the government. The first argument was a healthy growth of children. In today's society, we are all aware of the fact that media a lot influences on all spheres of society. Furthermore, there is, if we put those sexually material promotion movies that promote pornography or any kind of pornography as ones that are where children are able to watch without guardians, it can cause catastrophic damage to entire society. Why? Firstly, because the children are their maturity. They are not sexually mature to stand all these materials that are absolutely bad for them, because there is a certain age when you can approach to these movies, when you can understand the logic of these movies and its importance for your life. And under 18 now, that's the reason why our guardians, those who can control the children and who are the best educator, which will be approved and mentioned furthermore in the third point. Therefore, all the materials as pornography are not able and are not the best material for children in this age, because it can in the bad way influence in their life. Yes, please.
Excuse me, you are talking about movies with sexual material that...
Yes, we are talking about the movies, and the definition restricted to the movies with the sexually promoting material. Therefore, I explain you why the influence of the media in today's society can a lot change the image of all people, which will be more explained in the second argument.
Point of information, sir.
No, thank you. The second argument is portraying women as needy, pathetic, and dependent on men. Why? Firstly, in today's society, as I explained, there's a huge influence of media on our people, especially children, especially youth, because youth are those who are growing, who need a lot of information, who receive every day a lot of information from social networks. That when we consider media and promotion of film, we have to include all the social networks in it. And in this case, the behavior of children is a lot dependent on all information they receive in their everyday life. Well, how are women and men represented in these movies? Women are always represented as pathetic. Their influence, when they are talking to each other, there are lots of conflicts between women. Who will be better in the position with the man? Who will approach the man in the better way? And there are always in these kind of movies that we want to abolish in today's motion. If the parents don't see those children and don't control what they're watching to them, women are always represented as ones with where there is always conflict between them, where they both want to approach, and they're all in needy position. They are all pathetic, and furthermore, they are all dependent on man, because it creates bad image of society. If we want to fight for the rights of the woman, if we want to fight against the discrimination of women, in today's society we cannot give approach to all the people to watch the movies which will influence on their lives. You can see in entire society girls that have idols in the film stars that are like talking about Angelina Jolie or someone like that, some other special film star or celebrity, as she is my favorite. I like to do everything she does. I like to wear everything she wears. And in a lot of movies, they are represented and absolutely dependent on the man. They are just waiting what will man say. They are just in numerous variety of conflicts between each other. Shall we create society where children will hate each other because of the bad influence of the media? Of course not. And that's the reason why we want to abolish today's motion. How it will be possible? The model of abolishing it is absolutely possible because of the fact that media are absolutely everywhere. If we abolish it on the internet as the censorship, if we abolish it in all other private media and the government media, it won't cost a lot for any media. They will gain furthermore money because of this restriction. And besides, it's important to emphasize that how will society and all stakeholders have a kind of improvement from this policy? As I explained, parents are those which will be furthermore explained in the third argument that will benefit because of their better approach to their children, controlling their children. Besides, all the children will have some kind of the benefit, as you won't be bordered and influenced by the bad ideas and bad criteria of those films, and all the companies and let's say the entire society will have the benefic of it, because we will create one stable society. That's the reason why, through arguments, health role of children, portraying women as needy, pathetic, dependent men, and parents and guardians are the best educator of the children, we approve today's motion. This house would rate all the movies that don't pass the Bechdel test PGA.
Thank you for your speech. I now call upon the Speaker of Opposition to open the case on the side of the opposition.
All right, thank you. Firstly, I would like to question the opposition on defining the motion as sexual movies with sexual motifs only. I find this strange, not only because they told the phrase sexual motifs, but because it is something that's not really easy to define. We could define a sexual motif as any romantic interaction between a male or a female, a male or a male, or a female or a female. Not only explicit sexual activity. In the case that it is explicit sexual activity, most movies that are like that are not only already rated PG-18 in their status quo, they are impossible to watch under any circumstances if you are under 18. And further in my speech, I will be talking about why this does not kill any form of objectivization, and why we should address all people as the same, and why this does not help us in that. So, what is the picture of the world in which we are, and also my partner will talk about why we are constricting the movie industry further by bringing this motion into the law. So, firstly, what kind of world are we living in today? It is a patriarchy, and a lot of people agree on this. Most intellectuals, all intellectuals. Most of the places of power on this planet are took by white, straight males. Women are rarely seen in places on heads of countries, on government positions, principals, company owners, and so on and so on. The root in this is in physical differences between men and women that are biologically present. Women are usually smaller and not as strong, and they are the ones who take the toll of creating new human beings. Now, we are now in a point in the development of our civilization where this should not be a worry to us at all. In the life of an individual, it should not be at all important if it is weaker or stronger, and mentally we are all the same. And by treating women as inferior because they are not as strong is something completely wrong. And we are losing as a society a lot by it, because we are not giving chances to people who are just as intellectually capable as males, who are females. So, firstly, why the Bechdel test is obsolete and why it does not kill objectivization. Two girls talking about one guy is a minuscule form of discrimination, and women can be shown as petty and needy in a lot of different ways. We could have two women standing in a kitchen together talking about detergents, they could be talking about clothes, or a multitude of other things. Two girls talking about a male is something that can be not at all chauvinist and not at all objectivizing. Two women could be talking about their problematic son, a woman could be talking to a teacher or a principal about her son or about her father, and so on and so on. It does not have to have and need to have any sexual connotations. It achieves nothing by it. We are just adding another rule that will constrict the industry of which my partner will talk and does not bring any change. Then, afterwards, why this stands in the way of bringing about the view of the world that people are the same. So, here we have a motion that makes a strict difference between sexes. We have males on one side, we have females on one side. What they are trying to achieve with the Bechdel test is showing that women do not need men. It's showing that women are absolutely not influenced by men, which is pretty much true, and that is the wrong way of showing it. We need to show in our movies to our children, because mainly people under 18 are the ones who are going to be influenced by this, is that we should not perceive differences between us through the form of sex, male or female, with which we are born. We make a clear distinction between male and female, and we push them away from each other. We could have a kids movie which is completely gender neutral, like The Minions from Despicable Me or Bionicle, which would have a much more important and humane message to send to the children. We do not need to make differences between us. We do not need to show that we do not need to care if somebody is male or female in our perception of that person, because there are a lot more different things. And here they are forcing that away completely. If they hope to show, if somebody wants to make a kids movie, they will have to make a very, very, very clear and faraway distinction between a male character and a female character. That is bad, because children will grow up thinking that it is very, very important if you are male or if you are female, and it is important how you address the opposite sex and what is your oh my god. And I'm sorry for my lack of English skills. So in any case, I have told you about why the Bechdel test is obsolete and why this stands in the way of the worldview of people being the same. And further, my partner will talk about how this constricts the movie industry so that everybody loses. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, and now we'll call upon the Deputy of the Prime Minister to continue the case for the government.
Sorry, just to take that. Ladies and gentlemen, the side of opposition has told us how treating women as inferior is wrong, how we shouldn't make differences between us. Yes, we completely agree with that. But the problem here is that movie industry based movies that just make millions and millions of dollars on stories on poor, pathetic women who just don't have anything else to do but to cry about their men who left them, who will never love them again, etc., etc. Here we are discussing these kind of movies, and I will, as my first speaker already mentioned, most of them have sexual connotation, and As well as they are promoting conflict between women, because there's usually not only one woman fighting for a man in the vast majority of the cases, as well as they are portraying women as needy, pathetic, and dependent on men. So that was explained in our first speech, and now for our third argument in my second speech, I'm going to tell you why parents/guardians. Thank you. Parents/guardians are the best educators for their children, and why we especially believe this is important. The motion states that this refers to children under the age of 18. Children under the age of 18 are developing really fast. They're just bombed with information. They're also getting mature in many ways. And here we need to develop during their childhood, during their life, trusting relationship between a parent and a guardian. We live in a society where sex is still a taboo topic, but we believe that this is why the children shouldn't be educated through movies. Children should be educated by their parents or guardians. This trusting relationship is built from the early childhood, and it still continues until the children are mature enough to leave the home. But throughout the whole process, parents have to be there for their children, and they have to slowly introduce them to every aspect of their lives. We believe that this age limit, is especially important because children are simply not able to perceive and are simply not able to be introduced to every aspect of adults' lives at once. And please.
Movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith earned millions of dollars, and it represents strong and independent woman that works but still has a husband, and the movie represents some sexual scenes. And do you think that only because of those sexual scenes we shouldn't let 16 or 17-year-old watch it only because he's not 18 without his parents?
Well, of course we do, because the motion states at the age of 18, and that is really important because Mr. and Mrs. Smith is firstly really violent movie, if you fail to notice, and secondly, we believe that the relationship between Mr. and Mrs. Smith is not the everyday relationship in our lives. That is why your point is invalid. We want, our third point clearly states that we want children to learn from their parents. We want parents to be the authorities, the model figures for their children. And we do not want the movie industry that just makes these movies only for money and for nothing else. We do not want them, no thank you, we do not want that to be the educational material for the younger generations that are our future and that are going to lead our country someday. So it's really important that within the family, parents build these relationships with their children, where they will explain to them slowly what does it mean, how to take her role firstly as a girl and then to grow up to be a woman, or as a boy and then to grow up to be a man. But we believe that it's extremely important that parents or guardians take this role, not movies, because movies, no thank you, firstly do not portray realistic situations. Movies do not tell us what exactly is going on. Not every girl in this world, unfortunately, has characteristics that most of the girls in those movies have. No, thank you. That is to be extremely rich, to be extremely beautiful, to have so many friends, and which whom they can chit chat about their guys. So we believe that by promoting strengthening of parental parent-child relationship, we are going to firstly raise our children to learn them to live in this world, in a realistic world, not in some movie that was just made in the head of some movie maker just in order to make money. No, thank you. But we believe that this is extremely important if we want our children to be healthy, to learn from their parents who have learned from their life experience, who know what is best for their children, who have provided everything for their children. We believe that this knowledge should be transferred from parent to child, not from movie industry to child. Of course, we believe that it says the movies should not be watched without the parental consent. Of course, if a parent believes that those movies are appropriate for their children, they have full right to watch them together and to discuss them together. But we are not going to discuss those cases because we are just saying that the children under the age of 18 should not watch it without the parental consent. So, for the reasons that we presented to you, those reasons being sexual connotations presented in those movies are affecting the healthy growth of children. Second argument, portraying women as needy, pathetic, and dependent on men is a really big problem in those movies. And third, parents or guardians are the best educators for their children. We are closing the case for the opening government. We beg you to propose. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. I now call upon the Deputy of the Leader of Opposition to continue the case.
Thank you. Okay, basically what the government said now is that all movies are stupid and they cannot teach us anything. Why is that completely wrong? We have documentaries, we have history movies, and we also have cartoons that are pretty realistic and can teach children a lot of things. I can give you a few examples of that, but I don't think it's necessary because we all know that there are such things. And also, you can notice now while I'm saying this, that in those movies, we almost never have two named women who talk to each other about something else than a man. And those movies are actually important for kids, for their learning. And I don't know in which world are you living in, but in a real world, a kid will better understand history theme or something else through a movie, and that is why the film industry exists in a way, because it has a big influence on children, and it can teach children a lot of things. So we say that this constricts the film industry. Why? Because now children under 18 cannot watch cartoons that hadn't passed Bechdel test, history movies and documentaries, which we think are pretty important for kids, especially at that age. So,
Point that?
okay.
Our government defined them as movies with sexual connotation. What does that have to do with documentaries?
We think that films and movies with sexual connotations are already rated PH 18 because movies with sexual connotations that are explicit and everything else are already rated that way, and children under 18 already cannot watch those. So we think we should, so we base our argumentations on this, and that this doesn't kill discrimination, and this, okay, so another thing we want to add to this is that someone can make a movie that will have a scene where two named women are talking to each other about something else than a man, and everything else will be completely about a man, about something totally different, and so we don't gain anything from this. Also, we think that in a real world, children don't really listen that much to their parents, and we don't think that, okay, that should be the picture, but it is not, unfortunately. And children are more trusting when they're watching a movie, and when they see something in a movie, they think it is real. So we now, doing this, we will stop them from learning in a better way. Also when okay.
Shall we consciously accept all those movies that prevent conflicts between people instead of parental education?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Shall we consciously accept education of children in the way of the conflicts between people that will affect their emotions instead of parental education?
Parental education is really important, but like I said, unfortunately, today that isn't the case. And today's children are like, I don't know how to call it, a blitz generation. They watch movies, they watch cartoons, they watch television, they are on the internet constantly, and they can see the real world. So we think that this has nothing to do with parents, because parents accept the, I don't know, accept the culture and I don't know, never mind. So accept the behaving of children, accept to construct the children to be, I don't know, that is the wrong word, but never mind. Accept to make them behave good, bad, or something else. That is today only their, that is only their, there's only role, actually. And whether they teach them something or not, okay, that is important, but children are learning much more through modern technology and through movies and through film industry. And by doing this, we can also exclude the neutral movies like Lorax that has a good theme and a good point. So now children under the 18 cannot watch that. Why? Because it has no two naked women who talk to each other about something else than a man. So why would we do this? Why would we constrict such a great thing, which is film industry? Okay, we agree that there are movies that aren't supposed to be watched by persons under the 18, and that is the status quo. They already have generated the age 18. So we think that this is a wrong way of, I don't know actually and what your point is by this, but we think that we shouldn't do this because it doesn't kill discrimination, like my partner was saying, and we don't show that people are all the same, so that when two women are talking about a man, it is not something bad. It can be really good, and we gave examples of that being not so important. And we think that in children's growth, today's children's growth, films are quite important. And many of us and many of our generation have learned so much from films, from some cartoons, and we think this is a really great way of teaching children.
Thank you for your speech. I now call upon the member of the government to open the second half of the debate and the case for the government.
Greetings to everyone. Today I will be talking about how women portrayed in movies today. How does the film industry and the media actually affect young people, and why is it important that we affect and actually make the movie industry conduct this test? But first of all, I will cross a couple of points from the opposition speech. First of all, they said that places of power are currently held by white, straight men, which is true. Because women, black men, gay men, and other people who are currently discriminated are always portrayed through the media as inferior. We believe that this test, which you considered obsolete, will show that women are dependent and will make women look independent. Will make women look independent toward men, which is not the current situation in the world, since women are still in the worst position. They are not equal to men. They are very dependent on men. They are being discriminated, and this must be changed. We believe that through the movies we can influence the young population, mostly the young population, because we believe that with young people comes the change. We believe that currently movies, just a second, that currently movies teach children a lot of bad things, which I will explain through my constructive bit. Now, yes, your question.
Do you think that the Bechdel test is too easily cheatable?
No, I do not believe that it is easily cheatable, because if you have two women who are talking to each other about something else than a man, that's just it. I do not see the way it being cheated. Now let's go on and explain in my constructive bit how women in movies are portrayed today. They are mostly portrayed in most of the movies as a prop, as an accessory to the male role. Women roles are there to boost the male roles, to show how how the male role is important, how the man is. How it's important that a man, how important the actions of the man are. And I will give you an example of the movie Troy, in which you had Hector who had to fight Achilles, and his wife was all about, oh my God, he's going to die, he's this, he's that, he's a great warrior, he's a good father, and there was nothing about that woman. Now, in many other movies, maybe not in this way, but women are portrayed as second-grade citizens. They are portrayed as something less important and more dependent of the male. The person that constantly thinks about the male, and that's what's the most important to the women. We believe that. We believe that how women are portrayed today in the movies is not good. We believe that's not good because media, especially the movies, have a great effect on the young people. We believe that movies are something that young people identify with. More accurately, they identify with the actors from those movies. When you, as a girl, go to a movie and you watch any woman portray a role in that movie, you will, through that observance of the movie, identify with her, because we have a tendency to identify with the protagonists of books, movies, plays, or whatever we are watching, because that is in our nature. And of course, young people, people under 18 who are still in development as persons, have an extreme tendency of forming a role model. And when you find your role model in a movie in which women are portrayed as dependent of men, not equal and less important than men, we believe that is very bad for the girls under the age of 18 who are still in development, because they will identify, through identification with them, they will believe that what those women in movies are doing is okay. And we believe that in that situation, they will accept that as normal. Their behavior will be accepted as normal. They will be that those girls who identify will not try to fight for their rights, because they believe that their position is justified, that their position is normal. And we believe that if they do not fight for their rights, they will keep getting discriminated as they do today. We believe that that is extremely bad, and that's something that we must force the movie industry to change. And why the movie industry, and why PG-18? We believe we believe that majority of the movies, before they get to the television, they have to pass through the cinema first. We believe that teens love going to the cinema. We believe that is something that they do out of amusement, and they do it often. And we believe that in the cinema, we should have control over what they are watching. And we believe that this will be achieved through this test, because industry will now be forced to achieve this test, actually to pass this test, because if they do not, a majority of their audience will not be able to watch that movie. And when the majority of the audience is unable to watch the movie, the industry or the movie makers lose money. And they do not want to lose money, they want to gain profit. Once they understand that they will start losing profit because of this, they will have to adjust their movies to the test. And when that happens, persons under the age of 18 who are still in development, who will identify with the persons from that movie, will not be able to see discriminatory movies against women anymore. And we believe that the social construct in which women are unequal to men is kept alive explicitly through media and more accurately through movies in which they are mostly negatively presented. We believe that those are the reasons why we should pass this motion and why should it be implemented. So today I talked about several things. I talked about how women are currently portrayed in movies, how this affects young people who identify with their heroes, try to behave like their heroes and accept their behavior as their own, and how role models can be a bad influence if they are portrayed badly, and why this is important to be done through the movie industry. With this, I would conclude my speech, and I would invite you to vote for Bechdel. Thank you.
For your speech, and now call upon the member of the opposition to open the case for the opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, in my speech I will first explain you three main points of the second opposition table, and then I will rebut some of the points previously mentioned during this debate. Our three main points are: 1, circumstances; 2, historical period; and 3, psychological aspect. Our first point is circumstances. We all know that movies are made about different topics in different ways, put in different historical periods, etc., etc. Therefore, we think that not all movies that are not necessarily bad, but they can also, on the contrary to that, be really, really good, that some of those movies maybe cannot really satisfy this principle, but we don't think they should be banned for that reason. For example, if it's decided to make a movie about a really important historical battle, for example, during the World War II, that could be educated for young people, that could make history interesting for them, and they should definitely not be forbidden to watch. And that movie has in it women that are maybe not named or don't communicate about anything but men that maybe just went for a battle, or that represent only men exclusively, because at that period of time it wasn't really usual to see a woman going to a battlefield, and that's the movie that represents battlefield. We think that for this reason, for the possibility of having a movie where women are just, where the situation is just not usual for women to show in it, we think that for these circumstances of a movie and topic and the plot of the movie, these kinds of movies shouldn't be forbidden because they are not necessarily bad. Now I will move to my second point, which is historical period. When the plot of the movie is settled, what's the period of history in which the movie is settled? A lot depends on this, because some periods weren't treating women in the same way that we treat them now. So, if we, for example, make a movie about Crusade Wars, where women weren't really important and where they weren't really allowed to speak, when they didn't have rights they have nowadays, so we will only see a woman saying goodbye to her husband who is going to a battle. Should we necessarily forbid this movie to be watched by a 16 or 17-year-old without his parents standing above him? We don't think so, because we think that this movie is not necessarily bad, even if it maybe shows a woman saying bye and kissing her husband before he's going to this war that he might not come back from. Therefore, we believe that the historical period in which the movie is made has to do a lot with if the movie should respect this aspect that we are debating on today or not. My third point is psychological aspect. First of all, there are movies who represent hard psychological situations that can be faced by both men and women, and that can maybe be represented through a movie which also consists some sexual scenes. If we would, for example, consider sexual scene even a kiss or holding hands, because the proposition table didn't really explain it in detail. So, for example, there are a lot of movies that show men and women and woman as only two characters, and those movies represent struggle of those two people for saving their marriage. They are only two characters, they only talk to each other, they are named and everything. And maybe in the end, her marriage will recover and they will kiss in the end, and therefore we should forbid this movie. But not only for this, because it consists of sexual scenes, but also because there are no women in this movie that are named. There are no women that are talking to each other besides about something besides about men. Therefore, we think that you shouldn't really forbid this kinds of movies, because if there's a student in high school who studies psychology and is just going through this through the part where they talk about a trauma and I don't know in lives of people, and they could really understand some principles based on watching these movies, we don't think that these movies should be forbidden only for that reason. Now I will move to the rebuttal, and I will rebut some of the points previously mentioned. What we can see on the side of proposition is huge generalization. How? They are trying to persuade us that in all movies that earn billions and billions of money, all women are portrayed as pathetic, as independent, as sad and just really like needy, that need men, that cannot survive without men, which is not true. I mean, we all watch movies that earn so much money, and we don't think that in all movies women are represented like this, despite on what kind of scenes those movies show. An example of Troy that the first speaker of Second Government gave, I mean, this is a movie placed in a completely different time period. It was placed so far back in history when women didn't even have the same role they have now. So we think that this example and this argument is kind of invalid. Also, if we promote women, if we promote this motion, we will show and emphasize that women are still not in a position that is equal to men, which we don't want, because women are equal to men currently. And the only thing that makes them unequal is exactly this. These kinds of stories and these kinds of pumping all these situations up where women are represented badly, so we should just stop all kinds of representing women in any kind where they will be different, where they will be different than men. For all these reasons, we decided to oppose this motion. Thanks.
Thank you for your speech, and now call upon the government witness to answer the government's slide. Yeah.
Hello to everyone. I would like to clear the things. Firstly, I think the clash was here about about equality of women, about equality in real life, about equality in movies. We will try to persuade you and to tell you that movies which portray women as their are unequal, less important. They're not really equal as men in a real situation and in the movies. So why is that bad? Why is that bad to show for the old ones and the kids? Firstly, that's for the kids. That's the kids are here stakeholders because the kids in their young age, up to 18, are learning from movies, are learning from books, are learning from media and everything which is served in a public. So when we show them, they are going to just a second.
For the information, please.
Yes.
Don't you think that movies that are already bad enough are already marked as PGs, 12,
Oh.
16, 18, and so on?
Okay. Yes, they are marked, but who can guarantee that kids won't watch that? Because when it's marked, nothing. My bad English, so I can't express my opinion well. I'll continue with my story. Okay, why is this bad? We have told about our arguments were healthy growth of children. Also, our arguments were like that.
Identify.
Okay, identify. Okay. Children identifies with their actors and their heroes in books, movies. So when they see a woman, they will identify with her. If a woman is treated like an object, like some actor who is just there to glorify and to fulfill the movie, like my partner said in the movie Troy, in every movie that is a women, where is a women portrait like an object. So like that, children up to 18 are going to identify with that. Identify with that person, and that way they're not gonna fight for their rights. They're not gonna change the inequality which is in the world, and that's why the status quo will be the same. So we need, we'll mark those films with PG-18, and in that ways we're going to stop this situation, and going to influence our children to other many ways which are more better, like we already said, relations between children and parents, and more educating them about sex, about sexual relations between. No, thank you. Relations between men, between women, and generally in this way, we think that it's so much better not to show them those movies which my partner said also, that is bad for children. Please, question, so I will continue.
So doesn't the whole team of proposition, both teams, don't you realize that by marking this movie as PG-18, you will not make children not watch them. You will only mark them that way. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that parents will respect that and be with their children every time they are watching these kinds of movies.
Okay. We think that in these kinds of movies, when we mark them as 18, we do our best so what we can do to stop children to watch that. And our responsibility is on their parents to not allow them to watch those things. So that is another debate, and we think that simply children can
Why do you want to mark movies as PG-18 when you have already said in the beginning of your speech that by marking movies as PG-15, 16 or something doesn't actually make those kids not watch them?
Okay, that was my mistake because of bad English, and we want to mark them. I already explained you. Children are behaving in their house like in a way that their parents told them so. So if we mark them, their parents will tell them not to watch that, and they need to obey the law in the house, how I can say. In that way we will mark them. Why is that good? Because movies are interpreted the picture of woman, which is she's bad, she's less important, she's unequal. In that way, that will they will identify with their main actor, like they identify in many books like Harry Potter, many films, many other ways. In such that way, when they identify, they will continue to behave in that way, which is in status quo, and that will not be better for the women, not be better for the girls, and so on. So we think that it's better to forbid that and to simply let the parents.
I think the government will participate now call upon the opposition to conclude the side of the opposition and this debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I first want to address some of the things that you have heard in today's debate, their importance, then to rebuttal and present the three main clashes. What you've heard from the proposition side is that they have introduced a model. But however, they have failed to introduce an effective model, because this model that they have introduced, that all movies that have sexual scenes and violence in it, as well as the movies that has already been defined, they would make it PG-18. This model is bad because it inherently backfires against children, because as you have heard from the closing government speaker, is that even though you might mark movies as something children should not watch, even though you mark it as something that parents should be there to guide the children, to explain the significance of some explicit contents in those movies, you will not make children not watch it. Psychology has proven that if you make some movies PG-18 or PG-16, that younger children will want to watch it, because children are understandably curious about things. No, thank you. The second thing they have failed to do is that they did not define sexual activity, which is very, very important in this case. Because all people have different standards regarding this problem. Some people regard kissing as a sexual activity because it comes out of sexual attraction and stuff like that. What we need to consider is that if this motion passes without defining sexual activity, no thank you, as they want to do it, would actually make children not be able to watch cartoons, for example, because there are some cartoons that are based on fairy tales, like Snow White, for example, which introduces romantic scenes and stuff like that. Therefore, if you follow, no thank you, if you follow this motion, young children will not be able to watch even cartoons, which is bad, because children at young age learn most of the stuff visually, and that has the greatest impact on them. The closing government speaker has mentioned Harry Potter as an example of a movie that children should watch, that it teaches them some values that are good for children. Harry Potter also includes romantic and even sexual scenes. Therefore, by following the motion as they have defined it, because they didn't define sexual activity, children wouldn't be watching even that. And Harry Potter is considered by some children as the basis of their childhood. Another thing they have sense because they assume that all minors under the age of 18, which cannot be, yes please.
We believe that children under the age of 18 will not be able to go to the cinema and watch movies rated PG-18, and that may not influence all the children in the world, but will influence all of them not to receive the message that
I
our country receives.
will talk about the effect of these restrictions later and therefore answer your POI in that manner. They assume that all minors accept the point the movie is trying to show, the information, only if it's obvious, which is not true, and I'm also going to talk about that later. Basically, what they want us to do is that they want us to deprive kids of learning some things. To move further on, I would like to present three main clashes in this debate so far. The first of all is the actual psychological impact and aim of the Bechdel test. It says that movies which do not have two named women, which do not talk about something else than men, should be rated as PG-18. What does this actually do? This is also reverse psychology. It teaches kids that, as the opening opposition speaker has said, that it teaches kids that all women, if they talk about men, inherently have some sexual connotations and sexualize men, which is not true. If we follow this, what do we teach kids? We teach young women that talking about men is something like a taboo, and we definitely don't need more taboos. Another important clash is the effect of restrictions. No, thank you. By doing this, I would also like to answer the POI that I've been asked. If we follow this motion, we're at PG-18. Children are not able to go to the cinema to watch those movies. They can't find. The opening government also mentioned internet site restrictions and stuff like that, so that children are not of age or something like that will not be able to watch it. What does happen in this case? We have numerous examples through history that by prohibiting stuff, we actually make people, because the movies like this, teens want to watch romantic movies. They just want to watch it because it's in their nature, they're curious. If they are forbidden to watch them legally, how are they going to do it? Porn is already illegal. It's marked as rated as PG-18. Teens watch it, and by doing that, they come into contact with pedophiles on internet sites and stuff like that. If you forbid movies like that, they will find a way to watch it, and therefore come to contact with no thank you, with even more horrible stuff which we do not want to do.
Please, sir.
Third, no thank you. I have to take that next. Another thing I want to talk about is reverse psychology. They say that if a movie is violent, then we should forbid it. Kids are not stupid. They, as I already stated, they won't accept porn only if it's obvious. If a movie shows violence as something that is really, really bad, why wouldn't we make people watch it? The opposing speakers have already mentioned movies that the kids would not be able to watch if we follow this motion. For example, we have talked about movies that represent historical struggles of a nation, for example. If we follow this motion, children would not be able to watch Saving Private Ryan, for example, which teaches them morality and honor just because it includes violence, and it certainly doesn't have any women in it. Another movies, for example, that they wouldn't be able to watch is Man of Honor. Man of Honor represents a struggle, historical struggle, which is based on a true event of a first black scuba diver in the US Army. There are no women in it. Kids wouldn't be able to watch it. So, you see what they are trying to do. They want to deprive kids of learning anything, so therefore I'm ready to